Odd thing I can't get out of my head from 3 years ago. Some of you may have seen my previous comments on others' posts, but some history. Wife of 19 plus years cheated on me with one of her co-workers 10 years ago. She came clean, asked for a divorce, but we reconciled. Things were tough but much better now. Fast forward, about 5 years ago I started to travel for work. Approximately 3 years ago I had just landed in a foreign country, got to the hotel, and called my wife to tell her I arrived and good night. It was almost bedtime back home. When I called her number, it didn't ring or maybe only rang once, and no one answered, but I could hear some slight female moaning. I thought maybe she was having some alone time until I heard a bed squeak and a guy moaning a bit as well. I was devastated. About threw up. This was all happening again, and we reconciled for nothing. I tried to scream into the phone but nothing was acknowledged. I hung up and tried to call one of her best friends to see if she knew where my wife was at. She didn't answer but it was getting late. I contemplated calling her mom and telling her that it's happened again. Instead, I called my wife back and she answered, like nothing happened. I asked her where she was and she said home. I asked her who she was with and she said the kids. I then confronted her about what I heard. Turns out, she was sitting in the living room with the kids while this was all going on. I actually talked to my teenage son when she handed the phone to him. The time between the first call, hearing the moaning, and this call where I was able to talk to them was no more than 3-5 minutes, so it is impossible she had time to finish, get home, and be hanging out for a while with our teenaged son. It had to be some weird thing with the international call getting crossed somehow, and instead of my call routing to her, it went to a random person who happened to hit buttons to silence the ring Ian's accidentally picked up to let me hear the time they were having. I can't think of anything else it could be. My wife was a bit shaken by how shaken I was. She understood my being upset, and a bit neurotic even though she wasn't having an affair. I guess I tell this story for two purposes. 1. To share and highlight to others that even though extremely rare, weird, unexplainable stuff happens. 2. Other than a crossed connection during the international call, what else would explain what I experienced? Story 2, best person ever, now the Antichrist, anyone else? How is it that a person you've loved for 20 years, that's loved you, can go from constantly saying, "I'm so lucky to have met my soulmate, amazing man, amazing father, blah blah," to turning you into a literal monster? Not only in their minds, but friends and family. Throwing everything away, shutting down, detaching, becoming cold and mean, so easily. I'm responsible for my son's depression. I put the idea in his mind. My son's not wanting to talk to her, my fault, manipulation. Her affair, if I had only done more and had a better job. Not doing laundry or the dishes that time 12 years ago. Everything is my fault now. I'm the psycho ex-narcissist master manipulator loser. No longer the man she was once so proud to call her husband. It was all a delusion. I feel it's just way easier to blame everything on someone else versus just owning up to her own it and accepting. Hey, maybe I'm the asshole. Everyone wants to be the hero of their own story. Anyone else deal with this? Any theories? Did it eventually subside? Redditor's reactions update after. Redditor 1, it's a coping mechanism that helps with avoiding personal responsibility and the reality of the situation created. As hard as it is to just ignore because of what you had with this person, it's really the only option. Redditor follow-up, it's both a coping mechanism in a non-responsibility deflecting situation. To break all the habits that go with being married to someone, it's often helpful to go through a period focusing on all of that person's failures as a partner so you can stop thinking of them as a partner. When one adds some very real issues around self-recrimination, it's often helpful to focus on how the other person played a role in the guilty party's actions. Add to that some dynamics around abusive behaviors and one ends up with people who will do anything to deflect blame away from themselves. Redditor 2, she is upset with her situation, and needs to blame it on someone. My ex did the same thing. He cheated, stole, lied, but according to him, it was all my fault. Ultimately, he's gone and I'm doing better. That's what matters. Not what he says about it to make himself feel better. Redditor 3, deflection, deflection, deflection. I'm pretty not surprised every time I hear a story like this, although you have my deepest sympathies, because it's basically a person realizing that what they're doing is wrong and desperately, horribly needing to make it somebody else's fault. At the end of the day, the only people that can wake up every day, look themselves in the mirror and say, I'm a sociopath are sociopaths. However, that doesn't mean that your average person isn't awful. So instead of hitting that realization, the justifications begin for why it's your fault they had to do terrible things. If only you'd remember when you, that one time when. This is absolutely classic narcissism at play, coupled with somebody trying to make themselves feel better about a situation they likely caused. That way the next time they're brushing their teeth they don't have to reflect on what a shitty person they are. Because remember, it's your fault. They were the victim. And who doesn't love the victim? Assholes don't love the victim, after all. Op answer, no. I'm the narcissist that's destroyed by my wife losing her mind and breaking up our family. Apparently our entire marriage was a delusion, she told herself. Update, who don't you get over wife binging other guys? I realize a lot of it is ego and just evolutionary biology, but duck man, it hurts. I want to not care, but I do. It enrages me and makes me feel pathetic. I'm doing the best I can, I stay active, focus on my sons, work out. We separated almost a year ago, still going through a divorce. The woman I've loved for 20 years, who I've taken care of, who gave me 2 beautiful boys, who I've shared tens of thousands of beautiful moments with, is now just another guy's duck toy. He doesn't have to deal with the everyday stresses of a long relationship, family, bills, raising kids, etc. He just gets to bang my SDBXW freely without stress. And for her it's a fantasy. 20 years just discarded like hot garbage and everything is my fault. As I write this I'm cooking out with my 2 sons. It's her day off work, she was supposed to have them. She decided to go on a surprise vacation with this mystery guy until Tuesday. So how'd you do it? Redditor's reactions, story 3 after. Redditor 1, honestly if you look at it a different way you can say you got it okay, you get to spend time with your kids. I mean having a cookout with them is awesome fun. You don't have to deal with her shit anymore. Let that dude deal with it until he gets bored of her. Try and get the divorce done as soon as you can so she can't try and come back. How old are the kids? Just look at it this way, she keeps cancelling her days with the kids to spend it with the other guy. All she's doing is making you look better and better. Redditor 2, once you accept that she's not the sort of person you want to be with anymore, it makes it easier. Yes, it's still going to bother you some, but it's easier when you are able to transition from how could she just throw away out relationship to she's someone else's problem now. Finalizing the divorce will help with that. Redditor 3, It's unfair, very unfair. 1. Her fantasy will end someday and she'll be alone. 2. I promise you it gets better. Your future is much brighter than hers. A cheater. Redditor follow-up. 2. I promise you it gets better. Your future is much brighter than hers. This part. I have found that women pay attention to how a man treats his wife. When an appropriate amount of time passes, women that he had no idea were interested will be calling, texting and FB messaging asking if he needs anything. Story 3, the letter to my wife I will not send until we are legally separated. Edit, reading the many informative responses here, I must say thank you and I will not be sending this letter. This is for me, not her. I do not think that you understand fully the depth and magnitude of the tortuous pain you have inflicted upon me due to your callous, selfish and, honestly, ridiculous choices. Although I love you and always will, I no longer have any trust, faith, or hope left to offer you. Your calculated deceit, your lies and your secrecy all feel to me as the ultimate betrayal. Do you not remember or honor the absolutely sacred vows we swore to uphold for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, until death do us part in front of our closest friends and family, in a church, making an oath before God? Either you forgot, highly unlikely, or you consciously made the decision, while having a million other options, to lie repeatedly, purposefully deceive us. Remember now, you betrayed yourself as well and in so doing destroyed my heart, our life together and my faith in human decency. I do not know who you are. If you were not so childish, selfish, self-entitled or emotionally immature, you would have had the decency to respect my dignity as a human being regardless of my flaws and at least told me that you had feelings for and chose to secretly meet behind my back with my friend. The pain of losing you and your love would have been much easier to digest and eventually heal from had you shown enough care to tell me months ago. I am sorry, David. We tried, but this is not working. I am interested in another man and no longer have the same feelings for you as I once demonstrated. That still would have been painful for both of us to come to terms with, but at least I would have known the truth. I could have begun the healing process 3-4 however many months ago. Instead, you chose to do the opposite. Instead, you chose to look me in the eyes and blatantly lie to me. You chose to continually pursue another man who had no right to be involved in our marriage. You chose to initiate and engage with a friend. He is neither my friend, nor yours, many more times than I will ever know. You chose to betray your husband. You willingly, knowingly, repeatedly chose to dishonor our partnership, and the sanctity of our marriage. Have you no honor? No moral compass? No integrity? No empathy? No compassion? No love? I do not recognize the brutally self-serving person you have shown and proven yourself to be. You revoked my agency. You destroyed my trust. You shattered my self-confidence. You left me sad, confused and isolated. You broke my ducking heart. I hope it was worth it. You chose this. Goodbye. Update, STBXW admitted to EA that turned into PA and now I am going through the roller coaster. I posted a very long, detailed version of my current situation, but it is too long for most people to read. So, here are the facts. WW40 eventually admitted to me BH38 that she had been dishonest the last 3-4 probably longer months. We have been together 7 years, married 4, working on children. WW said she had been unhappy for a long time and that's why she did it. She refuses MCIC and shows no remorse. She didn't shed a tear when she finally told me. Double betrayal equals it was with my friend she had been meeting behind my back for months. I will never know full details. WW met with friend however many times. All the classic red flags were there, but I ignored them because I trusted her. Inevitably WW and AP started messaging, flirting, complimenting, meeting, etc. She liked the validation. DA came. WW admitted to meeting with AP and making out. Yeah, okay. She then changed passwords on comp and phone and deleted all messages between them, because she didn't want to hurt me. Aha. I confronted AP. Said stay the duck away from my wife. He blocked her. She didn't like that. I think he got his kicks then dipped. Then came the rage, gaslighting, blame shifting, all the classic cheater bullshit. Now she changed the locks on our house illegal and wants to separate. So many more details, longer story. Advice. Suggestions. Support. She broke me on purpose and doesn't care. Is it always the same story? Help. Please. Update. I don't even want to post, but I need to let it out somewhere safe. So, I 37 meters finally got at least some trickle truth from my 40 FSDBXW in the last few months. Once I figured it out and confronted, she finally admitted to having been meeting with and at least on one occasion making out with my friend behind my back for 3-4 months. She originally said that her mistakes were limited to maybe 1 month tops, her words. She admitted at least 3-4 months. I knew something was up, but I never fully clued in. She would exercise more, dress better, work late, go on family visits and girls' nights during that time. She became very non-committal and distant. Me, how was your day? Her, good. Me, how are you feeling? Her, fine. Me, want to walk the dogs. Her, I am tired and just want to relax. Me, you are beautiful. You look very nice today. Her, thank you. That's it. She started belittling and making fun of me in slight ways. Then she became very angry. When I figured it out and confronted her about meeting my friend, I had concrete evidence and she admitted to it. She would defend her AP while emotionally abusing me. The conversations turned to things like, me, I know you did this, why? Her, because I was unhappy. Me, why was it with my friend? Her, it could have been anyone? It wasn't just anyone. Me, you cheated. Her, you cheated me out of 7 years of my life. Me, want to do marriage counseling. Her, no. I know why I did it. Me, I think it would be helpful for both of us. Her, this is not a marriage problem. This is a you emphasis on the you problem. Me, damn. That really hurts, can we talk about it? Her, no. I know what I did and why I did it. I was unhappy. I enjoyed spending time with him. He made me feel special when I felt stuck taking care of someone else forever. Me, ouch. That's really mean to say. I hope you realize that he is just playing you and only wants to get in your pants. Her, he is not a random W or. He made me feel special and wanted. Me, sigh. There's a lot more to this story. I just needed to vent. Update, I know I am pain shopping, but I need help decoding cheater lingo. I know I shouldn't be doing this, but my mind keeps going back trying to figure out WTF my SDBXW meant when she said some specific things. I know that she trickle-truthed me. I know that I will never know the details or anything close to the actual truth about her affair. I mean, she specifically told me she deleted all messages and texts between her and my scumbag friend she was meeting with for who knows how long. I guess I am just in a mood tonight and reaching out. 2 quick questions. 1. When they say they met and kissed, is it ever just a kiss? And 2. Her wording on the story changed over time. First it was they flirted, then they kissed and hugged, later the story turned to we met and made out, and then this is the one that really has had my mind racing on the bad nights when it all hits again at once. She said she let things happen and then started crying because it was wrong and he consoled her. I am 99.99999% positive I already know, but what the actual $% does I let things happen mean? Edit, she said I know it's not much, but I consciously chose not to sleep with him. Update, how I came to the understanding that there is no chance for reconciliation. So, tonight I am outside of my cabin on family property having a bonfire under a beautiful moon and plenty of constellations. The river is 30 feet from where I stand and my dog is laying down by my feet. With fire comes reflection, and this is what I finally came to terms with and realized tonight. At first, because I still do love and care for and worry about my SDBXW, and I did the idiocy of the pick-me dance until I said it. I am not pathetic. I offered counseling and reconciliation and forgiveness. She rudely rejected all offers of forgiveness and compromise. I was deluding myself in thinking I could forgive and forget. Call me callous, but I can't, rather I could, but I do not want to. I will try to make this short as I have a tendency to ramble. Bear with me. Within the quiet context of nature, I have a lot of time to reflect, and here is my conclusion. Do I love her? Yes. I do, and probably always will in some way. Do I miss her? Kinda. I miss who she was, not who she turned out to be. Would it be nice to snuggle someone and have that intimacy with someone tonight? Of course. But not with her. When we married and made sacred vows under the eyes of GD and in front of all of our closest friends and family, the primary obligation was to forsake all others. I am not religious. She is. We married in a church because that was important to her. I kept my vows. She broke hers. Will I forgive her? Probably at some point, but that is more for my own closure than her benefit. Will I forget? I wish I could. I never will. This is why I will not entertain the idea of reconciliation even if she begs. The instant she chose to step outside of our marriage, she ended it, even though I was not aware for a while. The very first time she chose to entertain the advances of another man, instead of saying no, I am married and this is inappropriate, she pissed on her wedding vows. When she further chose to pursue this scumbag friend who knew we were married, she essed on her wedding vows. They are both low-life scum. In short, the reason we will not reconcile is that it would be disgraceful to us both. Regardless of the fact that her choices and actions proved beyond a doubt that she has no sense of decency, nor any inkling of respect for me or my dignity as a human being, I still have my self-respect and dignity intact. She cannot take that from me. Even if I end up poor and lonely, it is better than being played a fool by a false wife and a fake lover. F that. Edit, for context. After all the religious hoopla was finally over, my dad came up to me, hugged me and said, I am proud of you, son. You got married in a church, you did not get struck by lightning, and the church is not on fire. Ha ha ha. Update, for those who figured it out before confession or admission. How did you know? How did you figure it out? What were the signs you ignored or were duped into not seeing in hindsight? I feel like every day since D-Day 4 months ago I have not seen her or heard her voice, since my subconscious brain is revealing more and more tiny intricacies that I was oblivious to during however long my SDBXF and my friend were meeting behind my back. I need to consider all the red flags, subtle or overt, so this never happens to me again, if I ever feel like putting myself out there vulnerably again in the future. Let's hear M. Redditor's reactions update after. Redditor 1, lots of girls' nights, gaslighting, change of makeup and clothing, passive aggressiveness, social media junkie, secrecy about the phone, substance abuse, secrecy in general, awkward attitude towards family and kids, tickle truthing, playing victim, new circle of friends, loss of interest in activities, bad mouthing behind other people's backs, Davo. Other girls told me about her behavior when she was going out. Then she denied and just started to blame me that I ruined her life, because she is now such a better person. 20 years down the drain. Op answer, most of these are true about my SDBXW. It's so predictable in hindsight. Unfortunately they are very good at playing the game we didn't know we were involved in until it is over and the betrayed stands there in shock wondering why the rules were only explained at the end. Redditor 2, I was blindsided. My ex was studying abroad and he left a gaming console for my little brother to use while he was gone. Facebook messages kept coming in from the girl and my brother asked me to turn off the notifications because it kept interrupting his game, and that's how I found out. My confirmation came from messages to his friends saying he doesn't know what to do, he ducked up. I didn't even tell him I knew until he came back. Absolutely no signs leading up to it. He kept in touch with the girl after he tried to get back with me. Op answer, good for you for not letting him eat all the cake. All cheaters are pathetic little monsters with the emotional maturity of toddlers and a gaping hole inside them where honesty, integrity, decency and basis respect should be, but is nowhere to be found. Redditor 3, I ignored all signs because I knew my wife would never cheat. She had a goody-goody reputation. Goody-goody sounds bad, but I just can't think of the right word at the moment. She was the loyal type. She hated cheating and would say so whenever it came up, whether with people we know or even celebs on TV entertainment news shows. I think there's two separate categories of signs: physical signs and emotional signs. The physical signs, more secrecy, putting phone face down, keeping it in her pocketbook instead of on her nightstand, staying up late or waking up in the middle of the night to be on social media or on the phone, wanting time alone, not going with me and kids because of a seemingly legitimate reason like she wasn't feeling well, has to do something important rather than a casual family outing. Of course, leaving early, staying late when going out. New lingerie, new clothes, dieting, exercising, caring more about appearance, changing profile photo on social media, more attention to grooming, different grooming, new interests in music, movies, books, philosophy, rejecting my sexual advances one day, then being overly sexual with me the next, not wanting to cheat on her affair partner, but getting irony when thinking about him. There are signs I read here that my wife didn't do because they would be too far for our past mode of living, like changing passwords or deleting. Taking the wedding ring off when she never did before, and when I would ask, give an excuse like I was cleaning with chemicals when she never had taken it off before, or nearing the end when I caught her, the ring doesn't fit, it was giving me a rash. Writing this out brings me back and makes me remember how blindly I trusted her and ignored everything. Also, when I did catch her, a few weeks, months later, I realized that she had stopped saying bad things about cheaters or cheating, like she used to. Also, the affectionate touches decreased greatly. The emotional signs, distant, cold, found me and everything I do annoying or aggravating: the way I eat, drink, sit, stand, laugh, even breathe. Sometimes the sight of me would aggravate her, though this was more subtle than I was able to describe here in a paragraph. If she had been so upfront and direct with it, I would have still not questioned cheating, but I would have realized things are really, really bad and I would have taken action. In the end, I did realize the marriage was getting really bad. I think it took longer because we were raising kids and a lot of kid activities took up our time, and we had large extended families we spent a fair amount of time with, so, the signs were diluted in retrospect because I was focused on many other directions, including work. When I realized things were really bad, which we never argued, but we seemed like roommates or friends with benefits, and things were so different, and not in a good way. I tried talking to her about it, but she always dismissed it, changed the subject, all of a sudden had to do something or take care of something, and so it never got talked about. After a few weeks, or a month or so, of that, I was frustrated. I wrote her a letter and left it where I knew she would find it when I went for work. It was all about wanting to have a better marriage. When I got home from work, she was all over me, hugging me, kissing me, saying how much it meant to her, how she wanted that too. Things were much better for about a week. Then I caught the affair on her phone, inadvertently, not even looking for it. I had all the messages, which went back a ways. I read them or glanced them all. In the middle of reading, I wondered, did she end this affair this week, after she read my letter? The answer to that is no. She did not end the affair, though the frequency of messages decreased. Ready to follow up, can absolutely relate to this. Every sign you wrote down describes my ex as well, even the S-time part afterwards. I think she just got H from sending nudes and S-timing to him. She also described us as roommates out of the sudden. That made me feel guilty because I did not have enough time for her, but I now know there is no excuse for what she did. I wanted to try it again someday, but I wanted her to end things first. One day she left her phone while taking a shower and I had her password, so I went for it and I was so shocked to see and read the last few days of their conversation. My heart was beating like I never felt it before, and there was no sentence of her to end things. The opposite was the case. She misses him and wants to be with him, so I told her. I checked her phone and she was in disbelief, but then freaked out like I never saw her before, tried to punch me, screamed like I would kill her. I did not even touch her. I realized how ducked up her brain is and what a bad person she is. But half a year ago we were best friends, partners, soulmates. It's crazy how fast everything changed. Update: anyone else feel bitter and jaded after betrayal? Not sure what I am expecting or reaching for here, but I have felt so numb and apathetic lately. My birthday, family holidays and all that stuff I never really cared for are suddenly bothering me. I don't want to go to Thanksgiving or Christmas to see my family because they all have spouses and children, and now I have neither. I don't want my sorrow to be the centerpiece for dinner conversation. I feel so abandoned, and isolated and absolutely betrayed. It is eating me alive, and I can already see the toll it is taking on those who love and support me. I don't want to become cold, bitter, and jaded, but I feel myself heading there. Any advice or methods used to still stay positive through such immense pain? I don't even know if I do or want to believe in love anymore. I was always a hopeless romantic. I guess the hopeless part was right. Update: maybe not the best place to post this, but I could use some encouragement these days. So, I have an incurable mental illness, properly medicated, but there is no fix. I have been suffering from a debilitating back injury that causes me chronic pain daily. I can't sit or bend or lift, so much so that I am unable to work. I found out that my wife was messing around behind my back with a friend of mine for months, and once I figured out who it was and confronted, my wife turned vile and told me she wanted to separate through a text message. She then proceeded to essentially trick me into leaving our house while her parents came to visit and changed the locks on the door. She tossed what she thinks are all of my belongings into boxes in the garage and will not grant me access to the house. I have to arrange times when my neighbor is available to let me into my garage to gather my things. Embarrassing. Now, today, she contacted my mom, not me. Apparently she blocked my number and told her that the first dog I rescued, Cooper, long before I met this BH, is sick, has a stomach ulcer, has lost a lot of weight, and the vet is unsure how much longer he has to live. Just venting here, but I am wondering what else can go wrong these days. All of this happened in the last 6 months. Someone, please, give me hope. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1, can I ask what your mental illness is? Is it a mood or personality disorder? I'm so sorry this is happening to you. It sounds abusive. Maybe contact local domestic violence organizations. If you have a disability, they should hopefully help you at least get basics like shelter, etc., and maybe legal. Redditor 2, why the hell do you let her roll over you like that? Get back into the house. Isn't it yours partially? What else do you let her have? Op answer. Very tricky situation. I am doing everything by the books, so that she keeps burying herself, and I can get the best settlement possible. Redditor 3, call the police and they will get you back in the house.